In my quest for songwriting inspiration, I've started to learn a little bit about classical music. I've learned a lot about music theory in the past, but it's always been in the context of popular music or jazz. I'd always thought before that classical music was too complicated and probably wouldn't be relevant to me as a songwriter. And because I thought I wouldn't understand its complicated structure, I never looked at it for inspiration for songwriting. I'm by no means an expert on classical music. I found this infographic of a learning curve of what you go through when you're learning about a new subject. I thought it was best if I filmed this video while I'm still at the peak of inflated expectation before I descend into the trough of disillusionment. My understanding up to now of classical music harmony was purely based on big hair 1980s neoclassical heavy metal guitar players. They would play very fast, running up and down what turns out to be the harmonic minor scale. So I thought that was what classical music was all about. However, it turns out that it's a bit more complicated than that. So I started out with the classical music, listening to the kind of greatest hits, the very popular and obvious pieces of music. To my surprise, I immediately started hearing things that were familiar, chord structures or harmony that I'd heard in the kind of music that I listen to and write. I'm always on the lookout for new ideas, and it's so easy when you're writing to fall into the trap of playing the same old chord sequences, singing the same old tunes over the top of them. So anything that can spark a new idea is always welcome. Now the piece I'm going to look at that I found very interesting is Morning Mood from Peer Gynt by Edvard Grieg. The piece was written in 1875, and the whole suite of pieces was written as incidental music to the play Peer Gynt, written by fellow Norwegian Henrik Ibsen. So the piece is in 6/8 and it starts in E major. What first caught my attention with this piece of music is the first two chords. The chord sequence is a very familiar chord sequence that's used in lots of popular music, and actually probably one of the chord sequences that I was trying to avoid keep playing. However, he takes it in a much more interesting direction. So the piece starts in E major, and it starts on the E major chord, which is the 1 chord. Now if you want more information about using the numbers of chords, I've done a video on that. I'll put the link in the description and up here. So it starts on the 1 chord, then it goes to the 6 minor chord, which in E major is a C sharp minor chord. As I say, this is a very common chord sequence, particularly in popular music, the 1 to the 6 minor. But what I found interesting about this is he's using just the major pentatonic scale in the melody, which gives it a different and distinct sound. It's called a pentatonic scale, pent as in 5, it's got 5 notes in it. A bit like a pentagon, has 5 sides, and Penthouse is a gentleman's magazine that used to be on the top shelf of newsagents when I was growing up. The major pentatonic scale is something that's very ingrained into all of us who grew up surrounded by Western music. This is proved by Bobby McFerrin, who does this brilliant demonstration. He gets the entire audience singing 2 notes. He teaches them 2 notes by jumping on the spot. Then he jumps further to his left, and the audience all sing the next note in the pentatonic scale without being told what it is. And he goes on further to then jump further across the stage, and the audience end up singing the entire pentatonic scale after only being taught the first 2 notes. So the piece starts in E major, and it's using the E major pentatonic scale, which is E, F sharp, G sharp, B, C sharp, E. And this is what it sounds like if you're not familiar with it. So that's the first figure, and then it goes to the 6 minor chord, which is C sharp minor. Back to the E. It does that twice. Then on the second time, he modulates to A flat major. Plays the same melodic figure in A flat major. And then what he does here, he goes back to that same minor chord he used in E major, but in this case it's now, instead of we're calling it C sharp minor, we're going to call it D flat minor, and you get this different sound. The reason you get that different sound is because that chord is off the 4th step of the A flat major scale. So it should be a major chord, but he's making it a minor chord. So instead of it should be, makes that, which gives you that different sound. So here we go again in A flat major. Then the 4 minor chord. And And on the second time he then changes key again to B major, playing the same figure, B flat major pentatonic. And then to get back to E, we've got that chord, he then makes it a dominant 7, so he adds an A, which naturally leads us back to... So the next section starts again in the same way. Then this time he goes to F sharp minor, which is the 2 chord, and he plays F sharp minor, and then in the tune he plays F sharp minor pentatonic. Then he goes to G sharp minor, which is the 3 minor chord, and then he goes to the 4 chord. I'm simplifying this a little bit, but these are the bits that I found useful. He plays a kind of major 7, so that's quite a classic chord sequence: 1, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4. There's quite a lot of interesting and different harmonic and melodic ideas in this piece, so I've tried to write a piece using a similar chord structure and using the constraints of the pentatonic scale to see what I could come up with. So here we go, let's have a listen, see what you think. Well, I hope that was useful and maybe sparked some new ideas. Please subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment and a like, and I'll see you on the next video.